welcome to Reflo'S TV. Thank you so much once again for joining us here for another conversation. It's your girl, Reflo'S Church Girl, and today we're here with a question. Sex before marriage. Sex before marriage. Our perspectives. My perspective as church girl on this topic. Don't forget that this video is powered by Reflo'S TV and Reflo'S Sanitary Pads. Your well-being is the #1 priority because you deserve the best. Talking about my perspective on sex before marriage. Now, to tackle this topic, I would want to refer to cultural religious standards. From times past, the stance of so many religions and culture on sex before marriage has been that it is not the right thing to do. It is not the ideal thing to do. So many religions and cultures encourage that sex is had within the confines of marriage. Typical example, within the Christian setting, it is deemed right only within the confines of marriage. That's why we have fornication, having sex before marriage, seen as something that should be frowned on by people who have not entered into marriage. Culturally, there are so many cultures that frown on it. When you come to Ghana, within the Akan setting, there are some cultural groupings that frown on this. And I know of certain places where, as a man, if you have sex with a woman and pregnancy comes out of it, you are fined, and there's something they call in the Chi language, it's actually a fine you pay for having slept with somebody before getting married to them. So we can talk of so many religious and cultural backgrounds where sex before marriage is frowned upon. There are other perspectives that think that it is no big deal. In fact, in actual sense, for them, sex before marriage actually prepares prospective couple to know how to be compatible to each other. For some of them, this is practice making people perfect. They believe that once people bond together, once people understand they are in this together, there is nothing big about it and there is nothing serious about it. Now, in my honest opinion, I believe that sex, because of its nature, if it is reserved or if people are able to restrain themselves till marriage, I believe it would be very ideal not only to satisfy that moral dictate, so to speak, but for the betterment of each of those people we are talking about. And as I've said, the nature of sex is something to me that is more than the physical activity that we see. In other words, let me say that sex is more than a physical activity. I believe that sex goes beyond the physical. It's more of a spiritual activity, more of an emotional activity, something that involves the body, the mind, the soul, emotions, and the whole being of the people that are involved. Scientifically, it has been proven that during sex, there is a release of hormones on the part of the female and the male. And this brings about something called chemical bonding. And when chemical bonding actually happens, a lot comes to play. Mainly or precisely because of this, I believe that this is something that should be taken seriously. First of all, I believe that a serious level of commitment should be attached to this act. And by commitment, I believe that sex should be had with somebody you can call a lifelong partner, somebody you can commit to in terms of that long-term span of time. Somebody may argue that, well, during marriage, people can divorce. And so what about getting married, having sex, and divorcing each other? I believe that to a large extent, marriage has a lifelong span than any other casual relationship. I know that this is debatable, but as I've said, to a large extent, marriage proves that span of time, lifelong partnership. And because of this, I believe that it will be ideal that after having studied each other for some time and getting into marriage, it will be ideal and it will be fulfilling for people to have sex at that time. Secondly, I believe that it is necessary for people to place premium on other important issues in relationships. And let me chip in a story somebody told me. She went into a marriage which did not last longer. I mean, there are certain antecedents to this problem or whatever problem arose that brought about the divorce. But I remember this person telling me that when I was with this person, the concentration was only on intimacy, sex, and having fun. And there were very important things that we needed to look at in the relationship we did not pay attention to, we did not place premium on, and it brought about the breaking of the marriage. I believe that the relationship before sex should be an avenue where people try to build important relationship skills, communication, building trust, building support, safety and security of the marriage or of the marriage to be, rather than placing interest or placing premium on these things that may mar or may blur people's attention to these details. People place premium on some of these things and forget to place premium on the most important things. When this happens, the very important details are left out and people are unable to develop the necessary relationship skills. They marry and they realize that there are very many incompatibility elements that should have been dealt with in the past but were not paid attention to. I believe that if this is followed, it will give the couple the ample time and that reasonability to make some of these decisions. Now, as I was talking, I spoke about chemical bonding, and I believe that this chemical bonding, the reward, the intimate rewards that it brings people, actually clouds people's vision. Now, when people are able to let sex wait, when people are able to restrain themselves from this activity, I believe that one advantage they can have is that advantage of intentional partner selection. I've imagined this thing. Imagine having dated 20 people, let's say 20 people before marriage, and you are to have sex with A, B, C, D, all of the 20 people. I believe that there is a high potential of losing commitment from or commitment to the next people that you date after the ones you have dated earlier. Yes, that level of commitment reduces because person A doesn't meet your specifics or doesn't meet whatever you're expecting or your expectations are. Person B does it right till the last person. Putting this aside and then sticking to whatever principles or values you should have allows you to intentionally select people. And by intention, I mean concentrating on the very important details, looking out for what are your specifics or what your expectations are when it comes to partner selection. That emotion or that thing that happens out of the chemical bonding that may blur your vision is likely to be put aside. We can talk of the prevention of unwanted pregnancies. There are so many stories of ladies, getting pregnant because they are in relationships, having to abort, and sometimes some of them giving birth to children they are not ready for. And all of the social consequences it places on these people, these individuals, the children, and society as a whole. And we can also talk about how we can prevent sexually transmitted infections like HIV/AIDS. Somebody may argue that, well, people in marriages can also contract STIs, HIV/AIDS, and all of that. But I believe that if, to a large extent, we are all sticking to no sex before marriage, we will be able to adopt that loyalty, that faithfulness to your partner till you marry, and then be able to clamp down on the incidence of many sexually transmitted infections and diseases. As I've said, this is a topic that brings to bear a lot of perspectives. But let me make this point very clear here. This is not to say that anybody or every couple who waits before marriage, before having sex, will not experience problems. Let me say this. It is not to say that they will not face difficulties. Every marriage comes with its specific difficulties, but I do really believe that these reasons, to a large extent, are to the advantage of couples who say they are willing to wait for marriage before having sex. I do not know what your thought on. I do not know if you subscribe to your religious or cultural order that says you have to wait before marriage. I do not know whether you also think that it is no big deal and it is about the understanding between you and your couple. So I would want to know what you think about this subject in our comment section. This video is powered by Reflo'S TV and Reflo'S sanitary pads. Your well-being is our #1 priority because you deserve the best. Like this video, subscribe to our channel, send your comments, and join us every Monday in other episodes. It's your girl, Reflo'S Church Girl. Meet you same time next week.